Hey, third graders, it's Mrs. Seals back for our next science lab. As you can tell, I am not in the science lab. I am at home. It is one of our many snow/ice days we have had recently. So we are going to just do the best we can here. I don't have the materials to show you exactly what the students in class will be doing, but I will do my best to explain it. So let's go ahead and get started. We finished up our unit on the solar system and we are moving on. For the next couple weeks, we're going to be talking about weather, which is quite appropriate considering we are experiencing some pretty crazy weather right now. So your target says I can observe, record, and compare day-to-day weather changes in different locations at the same time that include air temperature, wind direction, and precipitation. So weather is the condition of the atmosphere in a place for a short period of time. So remember, when we were talking about the Earth a couple of weeks ago, we learned that the Earth is surrounded by a layer of gases, and that's what's called the atmosphere. And that's what controls our weather. Everything that happens up there affects what is going on down here. So when we're describing the weather, we're describing what it's like outside. A lot of times people think that weather just means if it's hot or cold, but that's only one part of the weather. There are many different what we call components that all together make up the weather. And knowing the weather is very important because if you know the weather, that tells you what type of clothes you need to wear that day in order to be safe and warm and comfortable. And also, that tells us what type of activities it's safe to do that day. That's why school was canceled last week on Thursday and the teacher's day was canceled on Friday because the roads were very, very icy. And so it wasn't safe for us to be out driving around on them. So knowing the weather is very important when planning not only what we're going to wear, but what types of activities to do each day. So like I told you, weather is made up of lots of different parts. We're going to talk about 4 of them. The first one is cloud cover. So when you listen to a weather report or look up the weather on your tablet or your laptop, the meteorologist, who is a scientist that studies weather, is going to describe the sky by telling you the amount of clouds that are in the sky that day. Sometimes the sky looks like this, where the whole sky is covered in clouds. We can't see any blue sky or sun, and that's what we would describe as a cloudy or an overcast day. It might not necessarily be raining or storming, but it's cloudy or overcast. That's what the sky looks like today as I'm recording this. Other times the sky is what we call partly cloudy, and that's exactly what it sounds like. Part of the sky has clouds, part of the sky is blue. We can see some sun shining through. And then other times there are no clouds in the sky. It's just blue sky and sunshine. And then we would say that it's sunny or clear. Knowing the amount of cloud cover is very important when you're planning outdoor activities. For example, if I wanted to go do an activity outside most of the day, I would want to know the amount of cloud cover in order to be safe. If it was going to be a very sunny day and I was going to be outside for a long time, I would want to know to put on sunscreen and bring sunglasses and maybe even a hat to protect myself. Another part of the weather is temperature, which means how hot or cold it is. And we can use words like warm, cool, hot, or cold. And we measure temperature by using a tool called a thermometer. And we can measure the temperature of lots of different things, water, food, our bodies, to make sure we're not sick. But when we're describing weather, temperature refers to the outside air temperature. And knowing that is very important because that tells us what kinds of clothes we need to wear that day in order to stay safe and comfortable. Another part of weather is wind, which is just air that's moving. Sometimes the air is moving very fast, and we would describe that as a windy day. Other times the air is just moving a little bit, but not super fast. We would describe that as a breezy day. And then other times there's no wind at all. And we would say it's a calm day. Knowing the wind, the amount of wind is very important because that also would help you in planning, outdoor activities. You wouldn't want to plan to go fly a kite if it was super duper windy or if there was no wind at all. Also, knowing the wind speed is important for people like pilots or people who fly airplanes. They need to know, um, if it's too windy, it could be dangerous to fly in. And also they need to know the direction that the wind is coming from so they can plan too. And then the last part of weather that we're going to discuss is precipitation. Hopefully this word sounds familiar to you. Precipitation is water or ice that falls from the sky. So the clouds up in the atmosphere are actually made up of tiny droplets of water. And when the clouds get too big and full and cannot keep the water in anymore, that's when it falls down to earth. So we typically just get rain. However, if the atmosphere is cold enough or windy enough, we can get another type of precipitation, many that we have been very lucky to see recently. So let's look at these. This picture right here is just rain, like I was talking about, is just water. This type is something called sleet, which yesterday, Thursday, if you were paying attention outside, we definitely got some sleet. So sleet is a type of winter precipitation. And what happens is up in the sky in the atmosphere, it starts out as a regular raindrop. No, wait. Back up, sorry. High up in the atmosphere, it starts out as a little piece of ice. And then as it's falling down towards the earth, it might pass through a patch of warmer air that will cause it to melt and turn into a regular raindrop. But then before it hits the ground, it passes through some more cold air and it refreezes. So it is ice that has melted and refrozen all the way on its journey down to the surface of the earth. So if you touch sleet, it kind of feels kind of like a slushy or an icy or something like that. It's ice, but it's not solid. Definitely saw some sleet yesterday. Probably will again in the next couple days. And then this one is snow that we saw a couple months ago. And I think a couple weeks ago, last month. And I think we are expected to see some more in the next couple days. Nice and fluffy and powdery. It's just, frozen water. And then this one is called hail, which is ice, but we typically don't see hail in the winter because in order for hail to form, it has to be a mixture of warm air and cool air, and there has to be a lot of wind. So the way hail forms is that up in the cloud, it starts out as a raindrop. And then as it's falling down to earth, a gust of wind comes and pushes it back up into the atmosphere where it's very, very cold and a layer of ice forms on it. And then it starts falling again. And if it's windy enough again, a gust of wind comes, pushes it back up, another layer of ice. So the windier it is, the more times this happens, and the bigger the hailstone can get. Hailstones have been as big as golf balls or softballs before. That's pretty rare. Around here, we typically get what's called pea-sized, which is the size of like a pea, the vegetable, or we've occasionally gotten quarter size. We usually get hail in the spring or summer when there's warm air and cool air mixing. All right, so today what the kids in class are going to be doing, and again, I do not have the paper to show you since I'm unexpectedly at home, but they're going to be using a tablet to look up the weather in 3 different locations. And for each one, they're going to be completing a weather report that will tell the current time, the temperature, and also the cloud cover, and if there's any precipitation, and what the wind is like. So they're going to complete this little graphic organizer for 3 different locations that they get to pick. and then comparing them. So they're going to answer some questions about which city had the warmest temperature. Did any of your cities have snow falling, things like that, to compare what the weather is like in different locations, because that's the thing about weather is it changes all the time and it can be very different from place to place. So what you're going to see on your iPad when you pull up weather.com is you're going to see, so this is the weather for Killeen, Texas, and this was made Thursday night. So we would put the date as February 11th, 2021 at 7:39 p.m. This said that the temperature was 29 degrees. It was cloudy or overcast. There wasn't currently any precipitation falling, but there was a 5% chance that there could be in the next, 20 minutes. This tells us also the humidity, which we didn't mention. That just means how much moisture is in the air. And this tells us that the wind was blowing from the south at 3 miles per hour, so not super windy. So the students will use this information to complete their graphic organizer, and then again be comparing all of this information for 3 different locations. So I hope that you guys had fun learning about weather. I hope that you are staying safe and warm at home. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.